Welcome, students. It's good to see you. Mr. Schreiber is outside working, so his hair is a little messed up, so he's got his cool guy backwards hat on. Maybe not that cool. I totally understand. But covers up my hair, does the job. Guys, we're going to get right into it. Today, we're going to be learning about percentages. This is all review. This is stuff you've probably seen before, but it's also something that is super important. In fact, if I was to choose one thing that I want you to leave here and remember from 7th grade, it is going to be percentages. So let's get right into it. What I'd like you to do is if you see these problems and you think you understand them, pause the video and try the problems out yourself. That's the best way to learn. I'm going to press you guys to try some problems out on your own. But yeah, if you don't have it right now, pause the video, get a separate sheet of paper, get your pencil out. Let's get started. And here we go. So first things first, you can write write each percentage as a decimal. So you got to remember, if you don't already, is that if I said I want you to write a percentage as a decimal, you take the percentage and you move them over 2 times, not once, not 3 times, but 2. 1, 2 every single time. So 200% is equal to 2.0 or just 2. 200% of something is 2. If you take 100% of something and I say write 100% as a decimal, a lot of people want to say 10. A lot of people say 100, but really it's just 1. So what's 20%? A lot of you guys have done mental math here. We can move those 2 times over. And that's going to give you 0.20, or you can say that's 0.2. 2%, move that over 2 times. This is the number one problem, the reason why we're doing this. And there goes a 0. Guys, 2% is the main reason we're doing this is because so many people mess this up. And really as a decimal, this is the one where a lot of people mess up. They don't get it right. It is 0.02. And this is one here. I've given a lot of students this problem and they mess up a lot. If you have 0.2% of something, let's say that the probability of winning the lottery is 0.2%. That's actually pretty good. But that means that is 2 out of 1,000, not 2 out of 100. 2% is 2 out of 100. But this is going to be 2 out of 1,000. So if I said write that as a decimal, you'd go 1, 2, and you put a 0 there, and it'd be 0.002. That is the decimal. In fact, I'm going to erase this here so you can see it a little bit better. Move it over every single time 2 times, and that is going to be your decimal. What I'd like you guys to do now, I want you guys to try these on your own. Right now, pause the video. I'm going to do them right now. But what I'd like you to do is I want you to write the decimal, which you should get this one as 0.36. Move that decimal over. And this one's going to be 1, 2. I think it's so important in life to know how percentages work, what they mean, and how to differentiate them from just about anything. It's going to be important. You should get 0.004 and you should get 0.36 here. That is going to be your decimal. You need to know that to be able to move on. Here we go. Let's keep going. It says write each percentage as a fraction in simplest form. Guys, we should know that all percentages are always something out of 100. Always, every single time. That's why we like percentages. If I said you had a 94% on the test, it is very easy to understand what 94% is because it's 94 out of 100. So let's take a look at the first one. That should be 70 over 100. We want to put it in simplest form. So what I like to do is just cross off your zeros. That should be 7 over 10. And circle. What about 0.4%? That's a tougher one. It's going to be, you could say 0.4 over 100, but we don't like that. We don't want to ever have a decimal inside a fraction. So how do we make this so there's not a decimal? Well, really, guys, 0.4 is the same thing as 4, or 0.4% is the same thing as 4 over 1,000. So again, we don't want to write it like this. We want to write it where it has whole numbers above and bottom. So we have to multiply that by 10. This is not in simplest form. We'd have to divide both of these by 4. So that's really 1 out of 250. What does that mean to you? That 0.4%, if you had to win the lottery, it's 1 out of every 250 people. That's actually not bad, especially if there's a lot of money involved. Next up is going to be 6% is always 6 over 100. And we're going to divide that by 2 to make that 3 out of 50. That's going to be in simplest form. Last but not least is 280%. 280% would be 280 over 100. And what I like to do is just go like this. How about we cross out those zeros to begin with? That's going to give you 28 over 10. A good thing to know when you have zeros, you can just cross those out. That's still not in simplest form. Now let's divide by 2 on both sides. That'll give you 14 over 5. Did you get 14 over 5 there? What I'd like you to do right now, your turn right here. Can you tell me the fraction simplest form here? Hide that for a second. Let's extend page. And if you don't know, or you do know, and you want to know from me, it's going to be 36 over 100. Those are both even numbers, so anytime it's even, I'm just going to divide by 2. That's 18 over 50. Guess what? I can do it again. I can divide by 2. That's going to be 9 over 25. Anytime you have even numbers, we can just divide by 2. And how about 0.6%? That's going to be the tough one. You know, I know a lot of people say, Mr. Schreiber, this is super easy. I get it. But a lot of people mess up on this one. That's 0.6 over 100. That's what it is. But we don't like that. We don't want that decimal, so we have to multiply by 10 to make that 6 over 1,000. And here's the thing. We don't want that either because those are both even numbers. We're going to divide both sides by 2. Gives you 3 over 500. Tough one. That's a tough one. These are the ones you really want to focus on. Make sure you got it. Okay, we're going to move on. Everybody, the next part is, can you write the following decimals as a percentage? This one's easy. This was an easier one because all you have to do is, if you want to change a decimal to a percent, this is when you got to know how to do it, is we move it over to the right 2. Kind of like the opposite, right? We move it over to the right 2. If I was to change this percentage back to a decimal, you move it to the left 2. Well, what about the number 5? Well, where does the decimal start? It's right here. It's going to be 1, 2. This, the number 5, is equal to 500%. A lot of people think 5 is going to be like, 5%, and that's not true. It's 500%. 0.7, if you have 0.7 of something, 0.07, that's just going to be 7%. Watch where our decimal is, right here. And last but not least, watch where the decimal is. It stops right there. You move it over 2. So if you have 0.001, or in this case, it'd be 0.1%, or 0.1%. Move it over twice. You guys see there's a common theme here. Every single time we're moving it over twice. Can you guys solve these? Try them out on your own. I'll scroll this down so you guys can see it. Change these to percentages. Point 0.8 is equal to 80%. 1.4, move it over to 140%. And last but not least, 1, 2, that's a very small number. That is equal to 0.56%, less than 1%. Hopefully you got it. Move it over 2. Guys, we have one more, and then we're all done. Write each fraction as a percentage. So why is this the very last one? Is because you have to do something in between, and you have to change every single fraction into a decimal. And once you do that, then you can change the decimal to a percentage. So it's hard to kind of go straight from fraction to percentage. What you want to do here is you want to divide 4 divided by 50. And I don't mind if you use a calculator. Just take 4 divided by 50, and you should get this as a decimal, 0.08. And then from there, once you change it to a decimal, then we can change it to a percentage. So 4 over 50 is equal to 8%. And if you ever get confused with this, just remember how your grades are. You know, if you get a 22 out of 25, what do? You take 22 divided by 25, and then that's going to give you a decimal, and just move it over twice. So here, 40 divided by 50, 40 divided by 8 is going to give you 5. And then 5 is not the answer. It's not 5%. We're going to move that over 1, 2. And technically, that is going to be 500%. And last but not least, take 1 divided by 1,000. It's going to give you a decimal. It's going to give you a very small number. If you get 1 out of 1,000, and then I don't mind if you use a calculator, divide it just to make sure. It's going to give you this value. And this is not the percentage. A lot of people say this is the percentage, but no, that is the decimal. Once you change it to the decimal, move it over 1, 2. And really, this as a percentage is 0.1%. Okay, guys, your turn. Can you solve or tell me what is the percentage of these fractions? Remember, you want to change them to a decimal first. Feel free to pause it, try it on your own. If not, that's okay. Again, we're going to start right now. Divide, 3 divided by 500. That's the decimal. Let's change that to a percentage. 1, 2. Very small number, right? $56 divided by 25. It's going to give you 2.24. That's going to give you 224%. Guys, that's it. Main thing is, if you're still struggling, make sure you join our conference. It is optional, but I love seeing students come in. We mostly talk about a bunch of random stuff too with it. And it's always good to see, maybe not see you, but to hear from you. Okay, you guys have a good one, and we'll talk to you soon.